Greetings, Doctor. My name is Chu Wenzi and my matrix number is 201826. This is my video for the management for selected insect pests. For my selected insect pests, I have gone for corn earworm, whitefly and rhinoceros beetle. I would like to jump straight into the taxonomy of corn earworm. From the common name, we know that it is the pest of corn and it is from the order of Lepidoptera, family Noctuidae. And the species is Hedycoperpa zea. So from the image we can actually see that it is actually a moth. After that, I would like to talk about the symptoms of the corn earworm. It does the damage when it is at the larval stage, and it damages the silk of the corn and also the kernels. For the kernels, it does the damage at the tip of the ear of the entire corn or up until half of it, because after that the larval development is complete. This damage can cause secondary infection of the plant pathogenic fungi to the corn. One larva usually damages one ear of corn, but occasionally it does damage more than one. Other than that, it can also damage young corn plants which are at the whorl stage by feeding on the inner leaves, which are the developing leaf tissues. I have the image of the larva damaging the tip of the corn, and also another one which is a corn plant that is damaged by the earworm larvae. This damage can stunt the plant because it basically removes the leaves needed for photosynthesis. So after that, we are going to talk about the integrated pest management of the corn earworms, which are light traps, pheromone traps, insecticides, biological control, and also host plants resistance. Light and pheromone traps are usually used with a structure to contain or hold the insects. This can be as simple as a white sheet for the light traps, while also a hard stack trap for the pheromone trap. There are many other structures for light and pheromone traps, but one thing is for sure, they are used for monitoring and not for greatly reducing the population of the pests. And so for the examples of the pheromones used is Z9 tetradenylformate and Z11 hexadencinol. To reduce the pest population greatly, we use insecticides, and for corn earworm, it is applied to the foliage in a liquid formulation, particularly towards the ear zone, because it is important to apply insecticides to the silk, as the earworm larvae attack there first. We apply this in 2 to 6 day intervals or even daily, but usually this is dependent on the level of infestation of the earworm larvae. Next, we have biological control through bacteria, which is Bacillus thuringiensis, Steiner nematode nematodes, and also Trichogramma species parasitoids. Lastly, there is host plant resistance, which depends on the variety of corn planted. The resistance are in terms of physical characteristics, which are husk tightness and ear length, and also another resistance which is chemical factors, one of which is macin, a substance which disrupts the larval development of the earworm larvae, and another genetically engineered one which is Bt toxin. That's all for corn earworm, and now we will be moving on to the taxonomy of whitefly. For whitefly, it is the pest of Chile. They are from the order of Hemiptera, family Alerodidae, and species Trialerodes vaporariorum. Going straight into the symptoms of whiteflies, the damage is done by the nymph and the adults when the population is high, by sucking the saps of the leaves, and they can actually transmit viruses. One of the viruses is leaf curl disease, but even if there is not any viruses, it can also cause leaf curl on the chili plants. Furthermore, they also produce honeydew, in which in excess it can lead to fungal growth, one of which is sooty molds. They cause stunting, poor growth, defoliation, reduced yields, and even death in extreme cases. So for the image on the left, we can see the example of sooty mold on the plants, which is caused by the honeydew secreted by not only whiteflies but also aphids, mealybugs, and other insects. Meanwhile, on the right, we can see that leaf curl on chili plants caused by whitefly infestation and not by the leaf curl virus or disease. This occurs when there is heavy whitefly infestation while the new leaves are growing. Moving on to the next one, we have integrated pest management of whiteflies, which are sticky traps, biological control, cultural control, insecticides, removal, and reflective mulches. Some of the whitefly infestation can be as severe as the picture shown here. So for sticky traps, it is just for monitoring and also to reduce the population of the whiteflies slightly. Then we have biological control with Encasia formosa, which is a parasitic wasp, Delphatus pusilius, a predatory beetle, and also lacewing of the Chrysoperla species, which is a natural predator. So for the image on this slide, we can actually see that the nymphs will actually turn black when they are parasitized. Then we have cultural control, which are some practices that we should be doing, which are good sanitation and clearing weeds. These whiteflies tend to dwell in weeds as well as all the organic matter around the garden that is not well sanitized. For insecticides, we usually use the non-toxic ones, which are like insecticidal soaps, neem oil, or petroleum-based oils. But the plant must be thoroughly covered with these soap and oil-based insecticides. Other kinds of insecticides, which are the toxic ones, harm the natural enemies of the whiteflies instead of the whiteflies themselves. It also helps them build up the resistance. So for some of the example, they are buprofezin and pyriproxyfen. After that, we can also just remove the whiteflies themselves by using the water spray or even pruning out and remove the plant parts that are infested with the whiteflies. Reflective mulches can also be used. They are like shiny metallic coated construction paper or just reflective plastic. However, they will lose their effectiveness if they are covered by the foliage. That's all for whiteflies, and I'll be moving on to my last selected insect pest, which is the rhinoceros beetle. And starting off with its taxonomy. So they are actually the pests of palm trees. They are of the order Coleoptera, the family Scarabaeidae, and the species Oryces rhinoceros. And the images beside us are the adult female and also adult male lateral and dorsal views. On the symptoms of the rhinoceros beetle, the damage is caused by the adults, and they feed on the crown region of both coconut and oil palm trees. It can be seen when there is tissue maceration and the presence of fibrous frass inside and at the entrance of their feeding holes. They will leave the leaves of the palm trees, or as they call it, the fronds, with V-shaped cuts and holes at the base of the leaf sheaths. The leaves of the palm trees can collapse and cause death if the infestation is very serious to the palm trees. They can even cause secondary pest infestation such as the red palm beetle or even diseases. So for the next slide, we'll be able to see the presence of the fibrous frass in the palm trees and also the V-shaped cuts of the frond. Then we also have another one, which is the hole at the base of the leaf sheath. So after that, we will be going straight into the integrated pest management of rhinoceros beetle, which are cultural method, pheromone traps, biological control, removal, and also insecticides. For cultural method, it is the same as the whiteflies, which is having good sanitation around the plantation for, of course, the palm trees. Then we have pheromone trap, with one of the examples of pheromone use being ethyl 4-methyl loctanoate or E4MO as a monitoring tool, or actually economic control method for young oil palm replanting areas with one trap placed per 2 hectare. And then we have biological control by introducing their predators, scolid parasitoid using green muscardine fungus or GMF, Orytes rhinoceros nudibirus, and pathogenic fungus Metarhizium anisopliate. So moving on to the next one, we have removal, which is by just extracting the beetle from the affected palm crowns using hooks. So lastly, we have the usage of insecticides. So they are usually applied at the top of the leaf axils. For Cevido, we'll be mixing it with fine sand and then place it there for 3 times a year. Then we have naphthalene balls placed once every 45 days. We also have folate, which are placed 2 times at 6-month intervals. Lastly, it will be the mixture of neem seed powder and sand at 150 grams per palm tree.